All right, welcome back. We're going to start talking today about user preferences and how we can save those preferences in Android. So they're preferences like default radio button positions or default values for our text boxes, things like that. So we're going to work on that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new class, hopefully. Why is it so slow? There we go. New Java class. And I'm going to call it preferences.
You have the version you're using right now.
I do. And we want to extend, actually it's already written on my GitHub.
What's written?
All of this that I'm typing right now. So we're going to extend the activity, because it's going to be a new activity screen, right? Remember all that from before the break? Going to extend our activity. And we need to have, what's the first method that we create in a class like this?
To override the
onCreate.
So why aren't you using the super or the basic?
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. I had that. Yeah, we want to extend our base activity, right? Because that's where we've got already some global methods that we want to use. So, all right. So there's my protected onCreate jobby. And the first thing we do in an onCreate is what's the first method that we call?
It's 9 o'clock.
Super, right? So we're going to call the super.onCreate, and we'll pass it in the saved instance state variable that we got passed in. Oh, we've got too many parentheses. All right. And what we need to do is there is a library in the Android development kit called shared preferences. And we're going to use that shared preferences. And we're going to use that to typecast a variable we're going to call settings. And we have to get a new object that points to those settings places. And this actually stores it in the application, that we don't have to worry about the file itself. We don't have to create the file. It will do this all for us. So we're going to call the get shared preferences. And then we give it a name. And this is basically a name of the file that it's going to store it in. Because we could have different preference files. We have a different preference file for each activity if you wanted. But typically, applications don't have that many, so we're just going to call it health app prefs. And then we're passing it this 0 as this magic value, which you don't have to worry about that. I forgot what it meant. Let me see if I remember what it meant.
Probably some form of ID.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't write it down. Great. All right, so that gives us a place, an object, a Java object that points to this settings file that we can call methods on. And we can get things, and we can save things to that. So when we start, we're going to initially get some data from the prefs. All right. Now, we haven't stored anything there yet, but we're going to get it as if it was already stored, and then we'll write the writing code later. So we need to have, I'm going to save perhaps the doctor email that you guys are going to need. See, I got too close to what you guys are doing, so.
Secondary email, CC.
So I'm going to call it Dr. Email, and I'm going to call the method on the settings object that I have, and there's a method called getString. All right? So it's very similar to the other methods that we've written that have a key and a value. Okay, so we're going to save this later as a key, which is just a string. So we're going to say, what do we want to save this in the preference file as? I'm going to call it Dr. Email. And the value, we can also pass in a default value for this. So I could say something like dave@lockersoft.com. So if there were no key in my preferences file that was called Dr. Email, it's going to use this instead. So I can guarantee that my Dr. Email variable here will have at least this. Does that make sense? That's the default string that will get copied in here if it can't find the key associated with that value. All right, does that make sense? So I'm going to have a string that I'm going to call Dr. Email up here. That's going to be set in this place, and you'll see why I make it capital. I'm going to move this to the base class eventually so that I can use it in multiple activities. All right. And then I'm going to have this as an actual screen that they could change some of these values for. So I'm going to create, I'm going to call my initialize app that I have, initialize app. And we're going to create that. To be more consistent with the rest of the activities that we created. Inside here, I'm going to have get the values from my new layout. So I need a new layout, right? So let's go to our layout. Let's add a new layout. Come on. And I'm going to call this preferences. Sorry. All right, so this is new. This is a new layout in IntelliJ 13. They moved the properties around to be on the right instead of on the left. Remember, they were down here before. So we're going to have. Pardon me?
It's more like Visual Studios.
I don't know.
Right answer.
I don't know. Since I don't care about
You did some C#
Visual Studio. All right, so I have my linear layout, and then I'm going to add some stuff to that. Why is it not?
No rendered. Rendering problems.
No rendering target. Oh, I don't have a device definition that I have to create.
Oh, yeah.
Come on. There we go. Because I didn't have any, let's just do something like this guy.
Jack motion would be for this thing.
It's gonna try running it on that, or is it just
This is just to lay out the
mimic the layout?
mimic the layout, right?
Don't you have to close your app?
That's
Do it all.
though.
Hmm?
You're gonna have to close out IntelliJ and start it up again so it recognizes.
Did I lose it?
Refresh.
There we go. Aha.
Remember last time we had to close?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's not seeing it. This is all new in their Visual 13 here. Let's try it again.
Start.
I don't really want to start it. Well, let's quit. Start over again. Let's see if that fixes it.
Just sweet button.
Because typically you'd have one created because that's what you're running it on. We're using Genymotion, so it's faster. There we go, Nexus 4. There we go. All right, picked it up. Now, initially, it should draw me a little picture of a Nexus 4 here. Come on. Wow, that was speedy. So let's put some text in here, and we'll call this your doctor's email address. And then we need an edit text field. We'll put an email in here. And we can put in, remember what the property was, like the placeholder in HTML? Hints, yep. So we'll put your email, at email.com, something like that. All right? So that's their email address, and then we need a button to actually save that information. So let's get us a button. We need a simple button. There we go. There's a button. Center it. We'll call it Save Preferences. And I'll give it an ID of button prefs so I can talk to that one. And then we need to associate this button with code. So we're going to use the onClick again, and we'll give it a value of something like save prefs. So that's the name of the method we have to create in our code now. So let's go back to our code. In our initialize app, we need to have some variables, right, to store access to the different fields. So I'm going to have an edit text. We'll call it doctor email. And we need a button that is got to include all the packages. called set prefs. Oh, I don't want it to be the same. Save prefs. Okay, good. All right, button set prefs. And in our initialize app, how do we get those and associate them to the form, to the XML file? Do you remember how to do that? So we're going to set these variables to the form element from the XML file. So we have to typecast it, and we use the find view by ID. Remember that? And the resource file and the ID of save button prefs is what I had here. All right, so that gives me the button. I need the edit text so I can get the data out of there and save it. So I need to have this called EDT doctor email is an edit text type. I'm going to typecast it. Find view by ID r.id dot doctor, what was it, edit. Of course, I can't remember because I didn't choose a nice naming convention. So it's this one, which is just edit text, which is bad. So we'll call it edit doctor email. All right, so we've got access to all of those pieces of information. And then we need a method that's going to be associated with that button, the on click, right? So we're going to do a public void save prefs, I think we called it. And it gets a view. Remember all that good stuff? Oops. And how do we get the doctor email then? How do we get the data from that text view, that edit text? You don't remember all of that. The get text, right? So we're going to call the edit doctor email dot get text dot toString. Right, so that will save it in our variable. And then let's do a toast it. We're out of time already today, holy cow. And at some point here, we have to save the actual preferences here, which we'll do tomorrow. And we'll move some stuff into the base class so that it's cleaner. But this is the piece of code we'll write tomorrow to actually save the data that this gets from the preferences file. Okay, so we're going to save the key. We're going to save the string that the person typed in associated with this key in our shared preferences file. All right, let's just see if this runs, and then we'll be done for today. Oh.
Do you have any way to get to your preferences page?
Yeah, I don't. So I can't really do that yet, so we need to add that back in. So I need to have my, first of all, I didn't add it to my manifest. So I need to add the new activity to the manifest. And we'll call it dot preferences. And then we need to have some way in our menu. We have to add a new menu in our master menu. So we'll just copy this guy and we'll call it switch to preferences. Call this preferences. And then in my base activity, I have to add a new item in my menu switcher. Remember all this fun stuff? This is going to be switched to preferences. And we're going to call the preferences class. All right, that should do it. Yeah, I don't have an icon handy, so we'll do that. It'll be the same icon as the chart.
But
It'll work. No, you'll get two of them. It'll duplicate. Oh, yeah. No. Well, it's done in order, so it'll be the farthest one to the right. So
it hasn't rerun yet.
I don't think it has. So let's close it out. Okay, so I've got two charts. It's the farthest one on the right. Beautiful, eh? Why did it not work? Good debugging technique here. What did I miss on my onCreate? I have to get that XML file, that layout, and I have to set it. So I'm going to say set content view r.layout.preferences. There we go. Yeah. So we'll run it again. Look at that. Is that beautiful? So we type in here Dave at jonestribe.com. All right, it says preferences have been saved. They actually haven't because I'm not doing anything here to save them. All I did was display it. So that won't be permanent, but we'll fix that tomorrow. We'll do that tomorrow. All right, any questions on any of that?
Good stuff, Dave.
Isn't that good? Good stuff. Cool.
The doctor's things into the text box or your edit box. If you retrieve it.
Yes. I need to put it back in there as well. Exactly. Yes. All right. So that's enough for today.